Right now on Morning News Now, battleground blitz. This morning, former President Trump and Vice President Harris turning their attention to key swing states. Now, with nearly 2 months to Election Day and the first ballots going out this week, some of America's youngest voters are making their voices heard.
Does the age of some of our elected officials concern you?
Yes, I will not yes, 100%. My generation will have to go in and fix that.
Plus, a major endorsement from the son of the late Senator John McCain. We'll bring you the latest from the campaign trail. Also this morning, fire and fury in the streets of Tel Aviv. A third straight night of protests against the Israeli government over the deaths of 6 hostages in Gaza. Now, calls growing louder for a ceasefire and the release of the remaining hostages. Plus, the Department of Justice charging Hamas leaders for the October 7th attack on Israel and the deaths of Americans. We have team coverage. Also this morning, a state of emergency in Southern California. This morning, a small seaside community under evacuation as the threat of landslides grows. Plus, a late summer storm taking aim at the Gulf Coast. We are tracking it all. And do not disturb. You've probably heard screen time before bed can interrupt a good night's sleep. Well, now researchers have honed in on exactly when you should switch off those screens. We'll get you all the do's and don'ts in our weekly checkup. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Good to be with you today. Joe is off this morning, so it's just me. We're going to get started with the race for the White House with less than 9 weeks to go until Election Day. Both Vice President Harris and former President Trump are set to hit the campaign trail today. Harris is heading to New Hampshire, where she is expected to focus on the economy and announce a new proposal to expand tax relief for new small businesses. Mr. Trump will be in the battleground state of Pennsylvania today. Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, he'll also be in Pennsylvania today, where he will hold events in Lancaster and Pittsburgh. This will be Walz's first solo visit to Pennsylvania since joining the Democratic ticket. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign kicked off a bus tour yesterday in Florida, focusing on abortion rights just miles away from the former president's Mar-a-Lago home. We've got NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba joining us with all the latest this morning. Monica, good to see you. So Vice President Harris, she's focusing on the economy today when she heads to New Hampshire. Actually, in that poll we mentioned a moment ago, hearing from our youngest voters, even for our youngest voters, this is the top concern. What can we expect from the Vice President today?
And this is something that she mentioned in her speech at the Democratic National Convention, Savannah, this idea of an opportunity economy. So she's going to expand on that by rolling out her latest proposal in that vein, and that is a tax break for small businesses, really increasing that under her plan to $50,000 from what exists right now, which is about $5,000. So this is an attempt to directly appeal to middle-class voters, to maybe some independent voters, of which there are many in a state like New Hampshire, and say this is another plank of some of the other areas where she's rolled out some policies when it comes to going after corporate price gouging or affordable housing. So this is another component of that. She's going to be speaking at a brewery in New Hampshire and really trying to make this contrast, according to Harris advisors, with Donald Trump, who wants to cut the corporate tax rate, for instance. And she's going to say, I'm going to try to do this for people who are trying to start a small business. And the hope is that this would lead to millions of new businesses in a potential Harris administration if she were to win in November.
Savannah. I've been talking to a lot of voters. It's these details that they really want to understand of both campaigns, what their economic policy would look like. Monica, I also mentioned this endorsement. We learned that Jimmy McCain, the son of the late Arizona Republican Senator John McCain, now endorsing Vice President Harris. What should we know about this? How big of a win is this for Harris?
Yeah, and this is somebody who doesn't speak out as often. He is the youngest son of the late senator, and he decided that after seeing former President Trump go to Arlington National Cemetery recently, to file as a Democrat, to change his party affiliation, and spoke out in an interview and said that he was going to be endorsing Vice President Harris. Now, of course, remember, in the last decade or so, Donald Trump has often made pretty disparaging comments about John McCain. In fact, that's how he started his campaign back in 2015 and in 2016, and that has only continued since. So that's clearly something that has been top of mind for the McCain family. But now you have the latest member actually speaking out and saying that he believes that going to Arlington National Cemetery is something that is sacred and that shouldn't be used for promotional or campaign purposes, as Jimmy McCain is accusing the Trump campaign of doing after the former president went there.
Monica, quickly before I let you go, I do want to ask about the debate. Less than a week away from this. Where do we stand at this point regarding the debate's format, those rules that Vice President Harris, former President Trump were sort of at odds with, and how are they preparing? What do we know so far?
So according to the Harris campaign, they haven't completely agreed to the final set of rules. Remember that there were rules that were agreed to by the Biden campaign and the Trump campaign back in June for that general election debate. They're still at odds now for this one about the issue of the microphones being unmuted for the duration of the debate and some of the other things that they likely will iron out in the next couple of days since we're so close to it. And both candidates are actually doing some form of prep. We know for Vice President Harris, for instance, that she's going to be heading to Pittsburgh later this week, and then she's going to stay there for a couple of days to do a sort of debate camp before she goes to Philadelphia for that big match and face-off on Tuesday.
All right, Monica Alba, thank you very much. And we will have special live coverage of that debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump, hosted by ABC News. Our coverage will get underway Tuesday night, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC News Now, as well as right here on NBC. Well, now let's get to that first of its kind survey we mentioned. This is NBC News' Stay Tuned poll focusing solely on Gen Z. More than 2,500 registered voters, 18 to 29 years old, were interviewed for this poll, and the results are sort of surprising. It explores voter sentiment and attitudes on the issues surrounding the election. It also provides a unique look at the different perspectives of young voters. Here's a sneak peek at my conversations.
You feel there's momentum behind the Harris campaign?
100%.
In a different way than there was with Biden?
100%. I think President Biden is a great man, a great leader, but we can't deny the fact that he was not particularly favorable after the CNN debate. And now we see that Kamala Harris is coming. She can fully articulate what she wants. She can go after Trump. Like she said,
I feel very sympathetic towards elderly and stuff. Do I want my grandmother to be in office right now running the country as a 78-year-old? Absolutely not. She should be at the beach having fun, you know? She should be making cookies for her grandkids, you know?
We're going to have much more of those conversations and dive deeper into the Stay Tuned poll tonight on NBC's Nightly News with Lester Holt. I hope you'll join us. Let's turn now to news out of the Middle East. Overnight in Israel, demonstrators faced off with police in a third night of protest, demanding a deal to release the remaining hostages in Gaza. It comes as Hamas released another video of one of the 6 slain hostages whose bodies were found over the weekend. NBC News international correspondent Kelly Kobaya is following the latest developments for us. Kelly, good morning. These protests seem to be intensifying since they got started on Sunday. And it seems, tell us if this is right, the general sentiment among a lot of the protesters is they blame Netanyahu for the deaths of those 6 hostages. Now, I understand they plan to move some of the demonstrations to outside the homes of government leaders. What do we know at this point about these demonstrations?
Yeah, there is a lot of anger among many of the general public in Israel. And the plan is for those protests, for them to show their anger in protest, and for those protests to continue again today. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum posted a call to demonstrate today on social media. They're asking the public to join them outside ministers' homes, trying to really amplify their voices to demand a deal to bring hostages home, a ceasefire deal. The protests started on Sunday, as you know, with that nationwide strike and tens of thousands in the streets in Tel Aviv. Flights, hospitals, banks, all disrupted, roads blocked, marches on government buildings after the bodies of those 6 hostages were recovered. Now, this morning, the idea, of course, is to put pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister. But this morning, there's really no sign that Netanyahu is relenting or caving to protesters' pressure. Savannah.
Kelly, one of the sticking points in these negotiations, it's over a small strip of land along Gaza's border with Egypt. Why does Prime Minister Netanyahu argue that it is so critical? And is there widespread agreement within his country about its importance? Is that sticking point worth being a sticking point?
Yeah, so he talked a lot about this on Monday and reiterated his belief that this was a very important corridor and that Israel needed to maintain control of it. We're talking about this strip of land between Gaza and Egypt. The reason he believes that Israel should retain control of that border for what he said was the foreseeable future is that he says it's crucial to stop Hamas from rearming. Now, this is sort of there's a divided opinion on this in the country. The defense minister, a former defense minister and member of Netanyahu's emergency war cabinet, Benny Gantz, pushed back on this whole idea on Tuesday. He said that that corridor is not Israel's main threat. Iran is Israel's main threat, and Israel could still send troops back into that area if they needed to, if the country needed to, if it was vital to its security. And negotiations over that strip of land should not stand in the way of a ceasefire. But Netanyahu is also facing pressure from the far right. Within his far-right national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, doubling down recently on his calls to end all ceasefire talks, not just talking about that border region. And that lack of progress is really frustrating not only allies, but also the Security Council. Savannah, the council president, saying that they will consider taking action if a ceasefire deal isn't in place soon. As you know, the White House saying that they're going to continue to push for a final agreement over the coming days. But it has seemingly been stalled over the past couple of days. Savannah.
Kelly, before I let you go, what is the latest on the polio vaccination effort in Gaza? I understand tens of thousands of children have been vaccinated, but how many more to go? How helpful is this seeming to prove for the health system in Gaza?
Yeah, so the UN Secretary General said the first phase of polio vaccination is complete, with more than 187,000 children under the age of 10 in central Gaza now vaccinated. Now, hundreds of thousands still to go. Preparations are underway now to roll out the campaign in southern Gaza. His spokesperson calling the humanitarian pause to allow for these vaccinations a, quote, rare ray of hope and humanity in the cascade of horror. And it is a ray of hope. This disease was eradicated in Gaza for 25 years, only to come back because of the terrible sanitary conditions in Gaza, the lack of clean water, the damaged sewage systems and hospital systems. There is still a risk of other infectious diseases, and humanitarian groups say what's really needed to help people in Gaza is a ceasefire and more humanitarian aid.
All right,
Savannah.
Kelly, thank you very much for your reporting here. Well, also new this morning, the United States Department of Justice is charging 6 senior leaders of Hamas over the group's deadly October 7th attack on Israel. The surprise announcement came from Attorney General Merrick Garland, which marks the first steps the DOJ specifically has taken to prosecute Hamas for the attacks which killed around 1,200 people, and that included 40 Americans. Here is some of what the Attorney General had to say.
The charges unsealed today are just one part of our effort to target every aspect of Hamas's operations. These actions will not be our last. The Justice Department has a long memory. We will pursue the terrorists responsible for murdering Americans and those who illegally provide them with material support for the rest of their lives.
Let's bring in NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney in for more on what this all means. Ken, good morning. So this indictment includes 7 federal counts. Who is facing charges, and what exactly is the DOJ accusing them of?
Good morning, Savannah. This indictment charges Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar and 5 other senior militants with carrying out terrorist attacks against Israel going back to the 1990s and up to and including the October 7th attacks. And among the charges they face is conspiracy to murder U.S. citizens, conspiracy to finance terrorism, and conspiracy to use weapons of mass destruction resulting in death. The complaint details years of terrorist attacks by Hamas from the 1990s to the October 7th massacre and says they've been funded by Iran. None of this is new or surprising, Savannah, but it's significant that the Justice Department believes they can prove all this in court.
Those charges were filed in this federal high court right here in New York City. Here's the thing, though, right? Half of those militants named in the indictment are already claimed to be dead. The other half are in hiding halfway across the world. Does any of this actually mean very much?
That's the big question, right? It's extremely unlikely that this case ever goes to trial or that they take custody of the 3 living militants. And in fact, one former senior CIA official was speculating yesterday that the U.S. intelligence community may have a covert finding to take lethal action against these people. Israel's trying to kill them. So again, this is really more symbolic. The DOJ thinks this is a big deal because they're laying out evidence against Hamas, linking them to terrorist attacks at a time when some demonstrators in the U.S. are waving Hamas flags. So it's part of the propaganda effort to finger Hamas as a terror organization.
Is it coincidental that the timing of this comes right after the confirmation of the death of those 6 Israeli hostages and these subsequent protests we're seeing? Why is this happening now?
Yeah, not entirely coincidental. These charges were under seal for 7 months, and one of the factors here was concern about Hersh Goldberg and some of the other Americans held hostage, and also one of the Hamas leaders who was killed by Israel. They were waiting to see whether they could capture him. So both of those things transpired. Sadly, some of these hostages were killed, and the U.S. and the Justice Department felt that the time was ripe to release this. Of course, it's coming as they try to pressure the Israeli government, as you heard from Kelly there, to reach a ceasefire deal. And this is one way of sending a message that pressuring Israel does not mean in any way sympathy for Hamas. Those are two different things.
All right, Ken Delaney, and thank you very much for your reporting here. Let's turn now to the war in Ukraine. More than 50 people were killed and dozens more were injured following a barrage of Russian missile strikes on Tuesday. NBC News senior foreign correspondent Richard Engel sat down for an exclusive interview with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to talk about the attack and where the war goes from here.
Ukraine says 2 Russian missiles hit a military academy and a nearby hospital in the Ukrainian city of Poltava, killing dozens.
What can you tell us about what happened?
Ще одна трагедія в Україні.
That's another tragedy in Ukraine. There was a missile strike. The missile flew some 3 minutes, and people didn't have time to go to shelter.
But was it a revenge attack? The strike was just over the border from the Kursk region in Russia, which Ukraine occupied last month. In his first interview since his surprise incursion, Ukraine's President Zelensky today told NBC News invading Russia was a preemptive strike to stop Russia from taking more of Ukraine.
We did have understanding from our intelligence that Russia was planning to set up a buffer zone. We had to make the military operations so that the buffer zone was made not by them but by us.
Now you've captured this territory in Russia. So the big question is, what do you plan to do with it?
We don't need the Russian territory. Our operation is aimed to restore our territorial integrity. We don't need their land.
But conceptually, you have this territory now. You say you don't want to keep it long term.
Conceptually, we will hold it. Conceptually, we will hold it.
He told us they kept the operation secret.
Did you really not inform the Washington, the Biden administration, that you plan to do this?
No, we didn't inform anybody. And this is not the question of distrust. We informed many institutions in our state inside Ukraine.
Do you think your international partners will go along with you? The United States signed up to defend Ukraine and defend Ukraine's borders and push out the Russian troops. I'm not sure the U.S. signed up for Ukraine occupying Russia.
Our partners do know that we had the full right for that because we were protecting ourselves.
Is the plan to take more territory?
With all respect, I can't speak about it. I think that the success is very close to surprise.
President Zelensky also said he plans to brief President Biden, Vice President Harris, and Donald Trump this month about what he calls his victory plan to end the war, and said that he was waiting until after the incursion into Russia to do it so that he could show them what Ukraine is capable of. Richard Engel, NBC News, Kyiv.
All right, thanks to Richard for that report. Well, over on the West Coast here at home in Southern California, a landslide crisis poses an increasing threat. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest.
A state of emergency on the California coast. Threats of landslides forcing drastic measures in the seaside community of Rancho Palos Verdes, where streets are closing as they crumble.
We have made the very difficult decision to disconnect power indefinitely.
Officials issuing evacuation warnings after the utility provider cut power to more than 240 homes.
It should have given us, 30 days, so we, get ready for it.
Southern California Edison blames shifting soil for a fallen power line, sparking a recent fire. The sudden shutoff adding to an already growing nightmare for residents like Mike Hong.
You've lost power. You've had your gas line closed off. You have intermittent water. Why haven't you left?
Well, you don't really have an option. Leave and go where?
Geologists say the slide rate has accelerated due to back-to-back winters of heavy rain. In some areas, moving more than a foot a week, even creating an entirely new coastline.
This is an ever-changing crisis as we navigate through this, and we need to be prepared. That is the only way we can stay safe.
Hong has watched one of several earthen cracks chew through neighbors' property.
If you don't get help, eventually this place will be gone.
Dreams dashed from a slow-motion disaster. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Rancho Palos Verdes.
Let's stay on weather conditions. Heavy rain is soaking the Gulf Coast through tomorrow. Let's get more details and a look at your morning news now. Weather with Angie Lastman. She's here in studio. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Good morning to you. We for sure have rain in the forecast over the next couple of days across parts of the Gulf Coast. That's where we're going to see kind of this unsettled pattern that has already prompted us to see some flood watches this morning. 5 million people stretching from Corpus Christi all the way out to New Orleans. This likely will be expanded here as the next 48 hours or even through the end of the week goes on. We'll see plenty of rain kind of working across this region, and the flooding is going to be one of our main concerns. We're not so much looking at the severe weather potential. Instead, we have this stationary front that's just kind of sitting over that area. We have a low pressure that's also going to drag up plenty of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and that means that the heavy rain is going to be a potential, again, from Texas to Florida over the next couple of days. So even as we get into the end of our work week. When it comes to the amounts, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches is going to be the more widespread amounts, especially the closer to the coast you go. But notice, we could see upwards of 5 inches, upwards of 7 inches in some of these isolated spots. And as I mentioned, the grounds are already really saturated. We've already been dealing with a good amount of rain across parts of Texas over the past 24 hours. So any additional is going to be problematic when it comes to flooding. So let's talk about the next 2 days with regards to that flash flooding. New Orleans to Houston and up towards Alexandria. That's where we're going to have that slight risk for flash flooding today. Not a lot of movement in where we're going to be pinpointing the greatest potential for flash flooding tomorrow either. But we do see it extended a little farther into Mississippi. New Orleans still included, Jackson, Lake Charles included, but just a sliver of the Texas coastline. But really, where you see that green stretching from Florida to Texas, the potential is there for us to see some flooding. So reminding folks not to drive through those flooded roadways. Big picture look as we head into our weekend. Here's Friday. Notice the heavy rain still going to be something that we deal with across the southeast. This really is going to take a little bit for us to see a change in that pattern. But otherwise, a lot of the country is going to see plenty of sunshine. We've got a little bit of rain that's going to work through the Great Lakes here, the Ohio Valley on Friday, but plenty of sunshine up and down the East Coast otherwise. For the Northeast, for the Mid-Atlantic, even the Central Plains and the West, for sure going to see a whole lot of sunshine. That, unfortunately, comes with a plenty of heat. We've got those heat alerts already up, and those will last into the weekend with temperatures into the triple digits for a lot of folks for the Southwest and extending up into the Pacific Northwest, where temperatures are just running warm. Warm conditions also for the Rockies on Saturday. We'll see a little bit of a cool down across the Great Lakes, but notice how we have the rain back in the forecast just in time for our Saturday plans from the Northeast to the Southeast. So still the Southeast dealing with the rain. Finally, by the time we get into Sunday, most of that rain is out of the picture. Still, the Sunshine State has some rain chances they'll have to contend with for their Sunday plans to wrap up the weekend. But otherwise, a lot of the country bright, beautiful. It'll be even a little crisp in some spots, feeling maybe perhaps a little fall-like, Savannah, on Sunday.
I love it.
Across the Great Lakes.
I missed yesterday, but it was kind of that here, right?
Oh, it felt so good. The good news is today in New York City, 10 out of 10 forecast. Honestly, low humidity, nice temperatures, a little breeze,
because I'm back in town.
Yeah. Well, we had it yesterday, too. No.
Thanks, Angie. See you in a little bit. Much more to come here on Morning News. Now, later this hour, wipeout on Wall Street. Shareholders sweating as NVIDIA stocks make the biggest one-day drop in history. How the tech titan's fall is causing concern worldwide. Up first, though, after the break, he's known for wild stunts and lavish giveaways. Now, YouTube sensation Mr. Beast is being accused of unsafe conditions on his sets. More on the allegations and his exclusive response to NBC News. We will be right back. We are back now with the latest on the arrest of a former top aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Linda's son is now facing federal charges of acting as a secret agent of the Chinese government after being arrested yesterday. Prosecutors accuse Sun of using her high-ranking positions to help the Chinese government in exchange for money, tickets to events, jobs, and gifts for her family. Her husband has also been charged in the alleged scheme. Both have pleaded not guilty. Sun's attorney said the case was the result of prosecutors being, quote, overly aggressive. NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos joins us now with more on this. Danny, good morning. Okay, this is, I mean, This one, wow. I know we were just talking about it in the break. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. Walk us through this. So here's what we know so far. Sun was hired a decade ago, according to Hochul's office. She was also fired in March of last year amid allegations of misconduct, presumably related to this. But walk us through what we know about that and how we got to these charges against her and her husband.
Even though this indictment was unsealed yesterday, it really became public. It's been going on for some time. It goes as far back as an FBI interview in 2020 that's alleged in the indictment. So it appears that on some level, Sun was on the authorities' radar. And I say authorities, this is a federal indictment, and she's charged primarily, she and her husband, with foreign agent registration violations. But the indictment itself references a lot of New York state law, which to me signals the possibility that she could also face prosecution in a New York state court for the alleged violations that the indictment itself pretty plainly suggests she may have committed.
And what are some of the things that we just had a graphic up there that she's accused of doing?
Sure. She's accused of essentially acting on behalf of the Chinese government and agents of the Chinese government. And in exchange for goodies and items and gifts, she was doing things from her position within government that benefited the Chinese government. And that is going to be one of the key allegations in terms of her acting as a foreign agent. They're also going to try to establish that she had ethics training and should have known better. But the indictment lays out a lot of benefits that she allegedly received and benefits she gave back to the Chinese government. It is a very damning instrument, to be sure.
So far, both Sun and her husband have pleaded not guilty to the charges. But what do you see as a defense strategy here? Could you also see those pleas changing?
Okay, whenever you're in federal court, the odds are you're going to be convicted because you see an indictment like this and everything in there is just so bad for the defense. So you come up with a defense. It's not the best defense, but it's often the only thing available. And there are really kind of three prongs you can see here. Number one is going to be ignorance. She's going to have to use as a defense, okay, I didn't really understand that any of this was bad. That's only going to get you so far in terms of your intent. But as most people know, mere ignorance of the law is not a defense. Second is going to be it kind of signaled from her interview that she gave the FBI in 2020. She told them, look, my job is to be a liaison with Chinese officials, Chinese agents, people working on behalf of the Chinese government. That's what I do. That's my role here in state government. And that's going to be another angle of her defense. And then finally, that these benefits, this is very common in white-collar cases, the defense is going to be, yes, I received some goodies, and yes, the other side got some benefits, but they're not related. They just happen to want to give me some gifts, and I just happen to make these decisions within the government that benefited them, but they were in my own best judgment. This I see a lot in bribery cases. It is often the proposed defense of the client, of the defendant, but it ultimately is a really tough defense because the government's going to throw in all these goodies. In the Menendez case, Senator Menendez case, the big one was the gold bars. Now we have the new gold bars is salted ducks delivered to these defendants' parents as a kind of culinary gift from allegedly the Chinese government. So that'll be salted ducks are the new gold bars. Those are the kinds of hooks that juries seize onto and they think, my goodness, this is just ridiculous, all the benefits they're getting, while we jurors have to go to work every day and earn a buck. And by the way, the other thing, too, is the beautiful home they had, apparently without a mortgage, all the assets they had that were unexplainable. Those are things that juries seize on. All they have to do is show a house like that, and a jury's going to be thinking, uh-oh, what were these folks up to? And their tax returns, as alleged in the indictment, simply do not show the money to be able to afford these kinds of luxuries.
Wow, salted ducks is the new gold bars. Put that on a T-shirt. Quickly, how big of a concern is this? You hear something like a secret Chinese agent working here within the U.S. government, deputy chief of staff to a governor of New York. What does that mean in terms of what we're seeing from China, that something like this was able to happen at an office in the state of New York?
Yeah, exactly. There are two terrifying concerns here, and they're actually quite separate. One is corruption, which is always a concern whether or not the Chinese government is involved. I mean, the federal government has an entire unit, I know I've had to go up against them, that ferrets out public corruption. And then separately, you have the Foreign Agent Registration Act, which seeks to avoid anyone in government or outside of government secretly acting as an agent for a foreign government. That, too, is very concerning. And we're not talking about any foreign government. We're talking about China, a country that we do have concerns about. Certainly not an enemy, as that diplomatic term is understood, but certainly a country that we have concerns about.
Danny Savalos, thank you very much. Fascinating one. We'll keep talking to you about it. Now let's get to an in-depth story about the world's biggest YouTube star and the scrutiny he's facing over safety conditions at his latest reality competition. 28-year-old Jimmy Donaldson, he's better known as Mr. Beast, has a record 313 million subscribers. His videos feature dangerous stunts and lavish giveaways. I mean, like millions of dollars in giveaways. But some are sounding the alarm after a chaotic shoot. In a TV and streaming exclusive, NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas speaks to another YouTube star who's trying to expose what's behind the scenes of Mr. Beast's empire.
So this is your new studio?
Rosanna Pansino, one of YouTube's original and most influential content creators, the host of a popular baking show.
And now we're going to do this to the rest of our donuts.
Is now speaking out against the platform's biggest star.
Jimmy is not the same person that he is on camera as he is off camera.
Pansino met Mr. Beast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, about 5 years ago.
I have a heart for philanthropy and giving back, and that's how he presented himself, as a good guy who loves to do charity and likes to make big, fun, silly YouTube videos.
And whichever one of these 456 people survives the longest wins 456 grand.
Pansino even went into business with Donaldson, though the ventures failed. But she says everything changed after she appeared on Mr. Beast's 2021 reality competition show, The Creator Games.
And perfect hiding place.
She was unfairly edited, she says, to make it seem like she performed worse than she had.
Yeah, you can be like cyberbullied if I say anything that's not positive about Mr. Beast.
And when Pansino made that accusation on the pop culture podcast Just Trish last October, she says the backlash from some of Mr. Beast's fans was frightening.
I received very serious, scary death threats.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I've been online for a long time, so a little cyberbullying, the negative comments, I'm used to handling that mentally, but not at this magnitude. I was so scared. I thought I was having a heart attack. The death threats were very specific. They were very targeted.
In spite of that, in July, Pansino went public again, this time on TikTok.
I wanted to keep you guys updated on what I've been hearing about Mr. Beast's Beast Games.
She says that she's created a safe space for contestants to share their experience on Donaldson's new reality competition series. When Amazon MGM announced that series, the Beast Games was billed as the biggest reality competition series ever. The cash prize, $5 million.
I feel like I've become an advocate. I can't in good conscience do nothing.
How many people have reached out to you so far, roughly?
Right now, it's a little over 200.
Could you tell me about some of the allegations?
They didn't have access to their medication. In a lot of these situations, it was life-saving medication.
William, who asked us to call him only by his first name because he fears online backlash, showed up to what he thought was the Beast Games. But it turned out to be a multi-day casting call for the show in Las Vegas.
One girl in our group, she did need her epilepsy medication, and she did not get it. She had a hard time fighting for it.
And that's not all.
We had finally gotten access to food after about 10 hours, and I witnessed a male just collapse right in front of me, and he was convulsing.
NBC News spoke to 5 other former contestants who asked to remain anonymous because they feared retaliation. They said there wasn't enough food and that they witnessed medics responding to a contestant who appeared to pass out. In August, the New York Times reported that more than a dozen unnamed participants told them that they had not received adequate food or medical care, and that some competitors had suffered injuries from the physical challenges, with some even leaving the competition arena on stretchers.
I think that the injuries are just appalling because they're injuries that could easily be avoided.
What types of injuries are you hearing about?
I heard people got trampled.
During that first game, I got trampled. Every line had a group of people at the back that were just getting trampled, and I watched a woman get knocked out cold.
Several contestants were hospitalized during the Beast Games promo shoot, according to NBC's Las Vegas affiliate KSNV, which cited multiple anonymous contestants. For his part, Williams says he would still compete again, and that he also saw Donaldson upset, trying to get contestants food and water.
He did try to do what he can. I do feel people are painting it that he did this like maliciously, But at the end of the day, I feel everybody was just woefully unprepared.
In a statement to NBC News, a spokesperson for Mr. Beast said that the promo shoot involving over 2,000 participants was, quote, unfortunately complicated by a global technology outage, extreme weather, and other unexpected logistical and communications issues, which we are currently reviewing. The spokesperson added that virtually all of those invited to the filming of the Beast Games in Toronto enthusiastically accepted our invitation, and that they have taken steps to ensure that we learn from this experience. Amazon MGM Studios did not respond to a request for comment.
What would you say to people who might say, well, it sounds like that, business deal fell apart. You're doing this to elevate your own profile.
I understand that perspective. I really do. But I really encourage those people to look at the bigger picture, because what he's doing is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening to a ton of people.
For the people watching who say that those that competed in the Beast Games, they were paid and they signed contracts and they knew that there were risks involved.
On any TV show, especially a competition show, there's always risk that somebody's going to accidentally get hurt. I think that the difference here is an abuse of power. I think it's wrong to dangle this huge prize money, a $5 million carrot, in front of people's faces who really need it and take advantage. I don't think it's okay to actually shoot shows that are like the Hunger Games.
Our thanks to Chloe Molas for that report. Well, coming up, it's a common mistake that could cost you thousands of dollars. When we come back, why so many parents choose not to challenge their medical bills. Plus, the best method of getting your bill corrected. Your weekly checkup is next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. It is time for our weekly checkup. This week, we're going to get some answers on what time specifically you should stop using your phone in order to get a good night's sleep. We're also going to get you some tips on what to do if something looks off in your medical bill. For the latest on all this, let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel, our friend, of course. Dr. Patel, great to see you. Good morning. So to get better sleep every night, we've heard this so many times. Doctors recommend limiting or avoiding screen time, that blue light right before you're trying to kind of shut down, go to bed. A new study from the Journal of American Medical Association Pediatrics has a better suggestion on exactly when you need to switch that screen off. I like this a lot because, I'm good about not just laying in bed and aimlessly scrolling right before bed, but I'm like, well, at what time do you really get the benefit of kind of being without that light in your face? So tell us what the suggestions are.
Right. So I want to caveat this by saying this was really just a study of adolescents. It was a small one, 79, but it was meaningful for the overall thing that we found from it. That basically, if you had screen time before you hit the bed, that might not affect your sleep as much, and this is the key, as much as screen time in bed. And then what you do, to your point, Savannah, in bed actually matters. If it's passive, then you might lose more time. If you're active and you're gaming, your brain is working a little differently, then you don't lose as much sleep time. But overall, for every 10 minutes of activity in bed for adolescents, you lost 10 minutes of sleep. So the doctor's orders here are very simple. Try to just keep the screens out of bed. I think that's the overall finding in this study. I need to do it, you need to do it, but our adolescents really need to do it. And then finish screen time, if you have it, homework and everything before bed. And then if you are in bed and you notice your child isn't sleeping, it could be what they're doing in bed. Get the screen out and look at what they're doing.
That is so true. The content that they're actually consuming in that time is so important. Dr. Patel, okay, this one is a good one because I think this is intimidating for a lot of people. Medical bills. New research from the University of Southern California actually suggests that if you notice something odd, you shouldn't let it slide because you could be missing out on getting that corrected, on some financial relief in that way. What can patients do? This gets really, I know it can feel so overwhelming, especially when insurance is involved, or how do you kind of go to bat with your doctor? But what should you do here?
Yeah, absolutely. So just real quick, the study found that 1 in 5 people felt that their medical bill was problematic and potentially even wrong. That's a lot of people. By the way, that happens to me. I'm a doctor, and even those bills can intimidate me because they can be long and confusing. And then if you actually did go forward and try to get your bill fixed, a surprising number, 75% found some remedy. It doesn't mean their bill was taken away, but that it was fixed or an error was fixed. So this is a pretty important number, Savannah. To your point, what can you do in this situation? So the doctor's order orders here. I always tell people, just verify the basic information. Make sure it's your name, your phone number, and then ask for an itemized receipt and itemized bill of what the services were. Pick up the phone and actually ask for the billing department of your doctor's office or the hospital and just tell them, I think there's something wrong. I'm not sure that I can actually pay this bill. And in many cases, they will find remediation and a way to find a solution for you.
That is really, really good news. And hearing you say it even happens to you is like blowing my mind and makes me feel better. Okay, Dr. Patel, quickly on this last one, more than 90,000 people in the U.S. are waiting for kidney transplants. According to a new study, this is published in the Journal of American Medical Association, it found there's never been a safer time to donate than there is right now. What goes into donating a kidney?
Yeah, so this is really important. We haven't really had a study like this that looks over the last 3 decades and looks at the decrease, because the biggest thing, Savannah, for anybody thinking about any organ donation but a living kidney donation is, could I be hurt by this? And that's a very valid question. Every surgery comes with risks, but it's one, minimally invasive. That's important. And that's what this study showed overall, that the mortality is so dramatically low, minimally invasive, very safe, and you can donate. So here are the doctor's orders here. See if you're qualified to donate and write your own prescription for hope for someone else. This is your chance to be your doctor in your living room and do it for someone else.
Wow, that is really good advice. And what a thing that we could all really kind of consider. Dr. Patel, thank you so much. Always great to see you.
Thank you.
Coming up, a stock market sell-off fueling fears from Wall Street to Silicon Valley and beyond. We'll bring you the latest on NVIDIA's $279 billion wipeout. That's the biggest in U.S. history. Plus, too good to be true, how a TikTok trend for a so-called free money hack could land some people in serious trouble. You are watching Morning News Now. We're back now with some financial headlines. Tech company NVIDIA suffered a record single-day decline in market value yesterday. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us to explain that and give us some other financial headlines. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. Yeah, so shares of AI chip giant NVIDIA, they're under pressure again today. Bloomberg reports the company has been hit with a subpoena from the Justice Department over antitrust concerns. NVIDIA stock was one of the biggest losers in yesterday's market sell-off, falling more than 9% on the day. Now, that wipes out $279 billion in value, the biggest single-day loss ever for any company. Since reporting earnings a week ago, NVIDIA is down almost 15%, and it's down 20% since its all-time high set back in June. Shares of Trump Media are trading at the lowest level since the company started trading publicly following a merger in March. The parent company of former President Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, is down almost 80% from its high on March 26th. The move coming just weeks before Trump, who owns roughly 60% of Trump Media shares, and other company insiders can cash in. They're currently prohibited from selling due to a lockup agreement, which expires later this month. And DirecTV is offering customers a $20 refund for the loss of ESPN, ABC, and other channels owned by Disney. DirecTV subscribers lost access on Sunday. That's when a distribution agreement with Disney expired and the signals were blacked out. DirecTV says it pays Disney about $2 billion a year for its channels. It has about 11 million customers, making it one of the largest paid TV providers, Savannah.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much. Yes. Well, in other business news, a new viral TikTok trend that some users are calling a money glitch or free money hack. It's actually having some serious consequences. Here's what it is. It involves people depositing fraudulent checks into their Chase Bank accounts and withdrawing the money before it's flagged. Well, that's actually fraud. For more on this and how it started online, let's bring in NBC News culture and trends reporter Callan Rosenbach. Callan, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you. So how did something that is actually fraud turn into this trend or something viral? When did this glitch start getting all these views?
Good morning, Savannah. So at the end of August, so just a few days ago, people began saying that they had found a quote unquote loophole at Chase Banks where they were depositing checks basically in their own name, depositing it into their own accounts. And these were checks for, astronomical amounts, $30,000, $40,000. And they were saying that, Chase will basically front that money while they wait for the check to clear. And so people were withdrawing the money from these fraudulent checks, and they called it a money glitch. What they didn't realize is that they were going to have to pay that money back when the check inevitably bounced. And so it wasn't a money glitch. This is actually check fraud. And Chase actually released a statement saying, please don't do this. This is not a glitch. This is a fraud. And, they're aware of the situation and they're trying to handle it to the best of their abilities.
What are the consequences for someone who does something like this?
Well, they're going to be, if they don't find themselves in legal trouble and find themselves, facing a case with Chase in the court of law, they're going to be on the hook for a lot of money. In some cases, which we haven't verified whether they're legitimate or not, but some cases people have claimed that they owe $10,000, $30,000, and they're going to owe all this money back to Chase. So there's one, the aspect of committing check fraud, which is going to be obviously a criminal offense. But then there's the other aspect of this, which is you're now going to owe all this money that you reportedly deposited into your account and that you don't have to cover.
Callan, I know in addition to this becoming this trend, this whole glitch thing kind of getting some views online, there's also a big pile on to set the record straight in this particular instance, right?
Yes, there is. On TikTok, there are many videos in which people are saying, this is not a loophole. This is a crime. And, there's a lot of people saying, like, please don't do this. This is fraud. I think a lot of people were just unaware, or maybe it's younger people who are, just getting their first bank accounts, who are just sort of learning how to spend and save money, who thought, oh, this is a way to get fast cash. And their fellow TikTokers are saying, that's not the case. This is a crime. Please don't do this.
Yeah, definitely not any type of glitch. It's just how it works as checks are being processed. Okay. Callan, Thank you very much. Good to see you. Coming up, a welcoming workplace. When we come back, we'll take you behind the scenes of one company that's trying to make a difference for people with disabilities. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. Finally this hour, for some people living with disabilities, finding a job can seem daunting. Well, now a Pennsylvania skincare company is trying to change that, one hire at a time. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro got an inside look at how they're creating a more inclusive workplace, hoping to inspire other companies to do the same.
Ethan Riddell considers himself lucky.
I was very, very shocked. I didn't know I was going to make it.
Landing his first job at Clean Logic in Pennsylvania about 2 years ago. His task at the skincare company, assembling packaging with his hands.
Do you remember how you felt on your very first day here?
I was a little nervous.
And now, how do you feel when you come to work every day?
I feel very, very, very good. I like working with my hands, and it gives me the ability to work with other people who have disabilities too.
Ethan is blind and one of many employees here with a disability.
Many of our employees, this is their first job. In many cases, we're struggling to obtain employment. This has been their opportunity to learn the skills and live an independent life.
1 in 4 people in the U.S. live with a disability. According to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, only 37% are employed. Clean Logic hopes to change that. Currently, more than 80% of the company's workforce lives with disabilities. Clean Logic's goal, increase the employment rate for that community by 10% over the next 10 years by making a workplace that can accommodate everyone.
So when you talk about making things accessible, this is part of that?
Yeah. So what we have here is high visibility and raised tape. And the high visibility allows our visually impaired team members to know exactly where they need to go to their workstations. And under this tape, there is a wire that allows our blind team members who use canes to follow it as well.
Company co-founder Mike Gesser says he was inspired by his daughter, 11-year-old Rosemary, who was born with a disability.
I went into dad mode and started to create what I thought would be an accessible and inclusive environment for her and also for anybody with a disability.
His business partner, Isaac Shapiro, drew inspiration from his own mother, blind since the age of 7.
Because there's a lack of awareness around what people can do with vision loss, companies do not think they could hire someone that has a disability, and so that's been causing the high unemployment rate amongst blind and visually impaired individuals.
For some employees, their disability isn't physical. Zaytun Yancey is on the spectrum.
How do you think you've changed since you've started working here?
I become independent and I felt I can do things on my own and really focus.
That focus comes into play as she sews, a new skill she learned at this job.
What would you say to companies that might be reluctant to hire somebody like yourself?
There are people who want to try new things and they really need your help. So please step up and help others who can help you make the community and company going forward.
Don't be afraid. Disabled people can do the same jobs that sighted people can, just in different ways.
CleanLogic's co-founders hopeful they've created not just a product, but an all-inclusive opportunity.
We want to see our story be able to make an impact in other companies in our industry, but also see other industries hire individuals with disabilities.
Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that story. We also want to mention CleanLogic donates a portion of their sales to fund tech grants for the visually impaired and blind. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here on a Wednesday morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's on assignment right now on Morning News Now. Rage and unrest in Israel this morning. Widespread protests continuing for a third straight night after those 6 hostages were found dead in Gaza over the weekend. We are on the ground with the latest, and this comes as the Justice Department charges a group of senior Hamas officials in connection with the October 7th attacks. Shuffling the cards, a major wartime shakeup in Ukraine's government. We've got more on some high-level resignations this morning as the nation reels from another day of violent Russian attacks. Plus, President Zelensky sits down for an exclusive conversation with our Richard Engel on where the war goes next. In the race for the White House this morning, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are bound for battleground states. The VP heading to New Hampshire today, set to lay out her new plan aiming to benefit America's small business owners. Mr. Trump in Pennsylvania once again attacking Harris amid those tightening poll numbers. We'll take you on the trail. And later in the hour, we are going one-on-one with the female president of the Golden State Valkyries, the newest addition to the WNBA, set to take to the court next year. A conversation with Jess Smith, a woman who truly means business. I can't wait to bring you that one. We're going to start this hour, though, with news out of the Middle East, where demonstrators faced off with police for the third night of protest in Israel, demanding the government to agree to a hostage deal. It comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu doubles down on his decision not to withdraw Israeli troops from the Philadelphia corridor. That strip of land on the Gaza-Egypt border is one of the biggest sticking points in ceasefire negotiations. NBC News correspondent Matt Bradley is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
We've been seeing days of protests here in Israel, and even today, activists are rallying their numbers for a 4th night of protests demanding a hostage deal.
Today, rage still burning on Israel's streets after a 3rd night of huge protests and clashes with police. The spark came over the weekend when Israel's military discovered 6 dead hostages in a tunnel in the Gaza Strip, including Israeli-American Hirsch Goldberg Poland. Hamas pulled the trigger, but these protesters blaming Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for not sealing a deal to get nearly 100 hostages home.
The only way to bring them back is to topple the government. And this is, in my opinion, the most important thing.
NBC News learning the widow of Alex Lobanov, one of 6 murdered hostages, refused to meet with the Prime Minister yesterday during a condolence visit. But Netanyahu is remaining defiant on a central issue in negotiations, the Philadelphia corridor, a strip of land on the Gaza-Egypt border. Netanyahu insisting on keeping Israeli troops on the land, something Hamas has refused to accept.
These murderers executed 6 of our hostages. We're asked to make concessions?
Yet after nearly a year of failed negotiations, the White House still insists it's trying to seal a deal between Israel and Hamas. While overnight, Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, who is Jewish, spoke at a memorial for the hostages.
I must be direct. This is hard. This is raw. I'm gutted. The time to bring them home is now.
On Monday, the U.S. announcing criminal charges against 6 senior Hamas leaders in connection with the October 7th attack.
We will pursue the terrorists responsible for murdering Americans and those who illegally provide them with material support for the rest of their lives.
Israel has already killed 3 of the leaders. Some of the rest are hiding out in Gaza, where today there was a flash of hope. Thanks to daily pauses in the fighting, Israel said nearly 200,000 children have now been vaccinated against polio in the Gaza Strip.
And Savannah, amidst all that anger from the streets, we're also hearing the same kind of language from prominent political leaders. Benny Gantz, he's a former war cabinet minister. He criticized the prime minister yesterday, saying that he was the one standing in front of a deal, and said that the problem ultimately comes down to a lack of truly strategic decisions. Savannah?
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you so much. And in the war in Ukraine, Russia launched its latest deadly missile attack on Tuesday, killing more than 50 people and injuring at least 270 others. Here's NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel with what he heard from Ukrainian President Zelensky in an exclusive interview about that deadly attack and what's next in the war.
President Zelensky sat down for this interview at a critical time, just after the start of his ongoing military offensive into Russia. And it seems now that Russia is responding with attacks of its own.
This morning, Russia launched another major attack against a Ukrainian city, this time hitting Lviv, a normally peaceful city, closer to Poland than the front lines. The missiles and drones struck residential buildings, apartments, and private homes in the historic district. Children are among the dead, according to Ukrainian officials. Yesterday, Russian missiles destroyed a military academy in the city of Poltava, killing more than 50 people. Is it the start of Vladimir Putin's revenge for Ukraine's incursion into Russia last month? President Zelensky sat down with NBC News in his first interview since that surprise move.
Now you've captured this territory in Russia. So the big question is, what do you plan to do with it?
We don't need the Russian territory. Our operation is aimed to restore our territorial integrity. We don't need their land.
Is the plan to take more territory?
I will not tell you. Sorry, I can't speak about it. It's like the beginning of this Kursk operation. I didn't communicate anything, really. With all respect, I can't speak about it. I think that the success is very close to surprise.
But conceptually, you have this territory now. You say you don't want to keep it long term.
Conceptually, we will hold it. Conceptually, we will hold it.
Zelensky said President Putin shouldn't be allowed to carry out what he calls terrorist attacks against civilian areas.
But isn't Putin already getting away with it? There was a decision by the International Criminal Court to arrest him, but he's in Mongolia today, and instead of being arrested, he was given a state reception. So do the sanctions against Russia work?
No, they do not. They respect Putin more than the international law.
President Zelensky is now also reshuffling his government, with the foreign minister tendering his resignation. It's a major political shakeup, and it comes ahead of President Zelensky's trip to the United States later this month, when he plans to present what he describes as a victory plan. So he wants to go to the United States with military success after the incursion into Russia, and it seems with a new government.
All right, Richard, thank you very much. Please stay safe. Well, now to the race for the White House as the candidates make their post-Labor Day push on the campaign trail. Both Vice President Harris and former President Trump are in battleground states this week, shoring up support amongst voters ahead of next week's highly anticipated debate between the two of them. Harris is set to announce a new economic proposal today in New Hampshire, while Mr. Trump will be in Pennsylvania. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us from Washington with the latest from the campaign trail. Peter, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. For all the enthusiasm that Kamala Harris has generated among Democrats in this last month and Donald Trump's own struggles during that same time to try to widen his base of support, this remains a very close race with under 9 weeks to go and a new urgency from both candidates ahead of next week's crucial showdown.
Heading to New Hampshire today, Vice President Kamala Harris is set to propose a series of new benefits for small business owners, an effort to support the creation of millions of new businesses. It's part of an effort to bolster the vice president's economic policies, with polls showing voters trust former President Trump more on handling the economy. Mr. Trump, who's off to Pennsylvania today, again attacking Harris.
I don't know how people can vote for somebody that has destroyed our country.
And dismissing national polls that show Harris now outperforming him, though still within the margin of error.
We're leading in the polls, and it looks close. But I think in the end, it's not going to be a close election.
It comes ahead of next week's presidential debate, perhaps the only time Harris and former President Trump will meet face to face. Multiple sources familiar with the vice president's schedule tell NBC News she'll hold another round of debate prep while in Pittsburgh tomorrow. GOP allies who've publicly expressed frustration with Mr. Trump's personal attacks on Harris are urging him to use the debate as an opportunity to refocus on portraying her as a far-left candidate, based on positions she took in 2019 as a presidential candidate. She's since sought to move to the center while insisting,
"My values have not changed."
This week, Harris allies are going on offense on reproductive rights, launching a bus tour through Mr. Trump's backyard in Florida.
With Kamala and Tim in the White House, a national abortion ban will never become law.
Abortion rights is among the key issues fueling a widening gender gap, according to new polling. Harris's lead among women, 13 points. Mr. Trump's advantage among men, 5 points. A separate poll shows among swing state women under the age of 45, abortion rights has now overtaken the economy as their top voting issue.
And Kamala Harris just picked up another prominent endorsement. This comes from John McCain's youngest son, Jimmy McCain, who says that just weeks ago he changed his voter registration to Democrat. But this is the first time that he is speaking out about Mr. Trump. In a series of interviews, he responds to the controversy over the former president's visit to Arlington National Cemetery last week. Savannah McCain, who served in the military for 17 years, just returned from a deployment in Jordan, tells our Phoenix affiliate that Arlington, where generations of his family are buried, is a, quote, sacred place, and that it should be off limits, in his words, for political activities of any kind. Savannah.
All right, Peter, thank you very much. Well, with just over 2 months until Election Day, we're taking a closer look at what's on the minds of young voters. We've got a new NBC News Stay Tuned poll. It's focused on Gen Z. More than 2,500 registered voters took part in this survey. The poll focuses on the issues surrounding the election and on the varying perspectives of young voters. According to the poll, inflation and the cost of living is the issue that matters most by quite a bit to them. That's at 31%. Threats to democracy, abortion, healthcare, and crime and safety rounded out the top 5. I got to speak to some voters about how they feel about the candidates and voting in swing states. Here's part of what they had to say.
She's on the fence, I think. I think that we all saw how Trump acted in 2020, and she lost a lot of favorability of him then. And she's on the fence about, should I commit my vote to this man who kind of acted like a child when he lost that election? And I mean, I think a lot of us are worried he might do it again in this upcoming November. But yes, ma'am.
What does it feel like to be casting your vote in one of these swing states?
It feels transforming. It feels like an honor. Like, I kind of wear it as a badge of honor to be in a state and also be organizing and mobilizing in a state that is such a battleground state like Georgia. All eyes are on Georgia again, and in Pennsylvania as well.
We're going to have much more on the Stay Tuned poll later tonight on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. I hope you'll join us there. Let's get you some weather now. The West is heating up with some areas hitting record high temperatures, something we've been saying all summer, it feels like. Angie Lastman is in studio with us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. And some of those spots across this, some spots this summer have been dealing with the record heat for prolonged periods. We'll talk about one of those locations in particular. But first, a quick look at some of those heat alerts. Notice Seattle stretching down to Sacramento, LA included, and out towards Phoenix and Tucson. This is a good chunk of the West that's dealing with these abnormally warm temperatures, so no surprise that we've got all these heat alerts in effect. Here's a quick look at where we go through the day today. Triple digits in a lot of spots. Palm Springs, Lake Havasu City, Yuma ends up at 114. Phoenix heads to 109 degrees. Las Vegas at 106. Of course, Death Valley coming in with an impressive 116 degrees. These temperatures overall running about 5 to 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, just to give you a little perspective. But But when you look at the long-term temperatures in a place like Phoenix, it's been quite impressive and a little alarming, honestly. We've had 100 consecutive days in Phoenix where our temperatures have been at least 100 degrees. A lot of times it's been hotter. That old record was 76 days, and that was set way back in 1993. So it's been an impressive summer, to say the least, in Phoenix, and we really aren't going to see that heat let up anytime soon. As we get into the day tomorrow, no improvement in places like Fresno, 105. We've got Bakersfield headed to 104. Redding, you're going to end up at 108. In Las Vegas, for folks that are out there, 106 degrees. When it comes to Los Angeles, 99 degrees. The hottest temperature they've seen so far this year was set back in August 20th, and that was 97 degrees. So they're likely to see the warmest temperature of the year so far as we get into the day tomorrow. And then you guessed it, not much improvement even as we get into the weekend. It'll be sizzling still in Las Vegas, over 105 both Friday and Saturday, 100 plus for Tucson into the weekend. Riverside ends up at 105. So really just some brutally warm temperatures for folks there. And then it's the rain that gets your attention in the Gulf Coast region. We've got 5 million people under flood watches, plenty of rain to tap into. And this is going to be something that we see last through at least the end of the work week and into the weekend. The potential is there for some flooding. Of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Also watching the Atlantic, of course, hurricane season, far from over. We've got 3 areas we're watching. None of them are giving us any great concern right now, Savannah. But of course, we'll watch for some potentially slow development over the next couple of days.
Okay, good. Not a lot of concern at this point.
Yes.
All right. Angie Lassman, thank you so much. Thanks for the good weather today. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a new twist in the death of Friends star Matthew Perry. When we'll end up seeing 2 of the people charged in connection with the tragedy heading to trial. First, though, after the break, a former top aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul arrested and charged with acting as a secret agent for the Chinese government. We've got all the details on that coming up next. Welcome back. A former top aide to New York Governor's Kathy Hochul is accused of being a secret Chinese agent. Linda Sun is free on bail this morning after she and her husband pleaded not guilty in court Tuesday. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk is here in studio with the details on this. Hey, Steph, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Linda Sun worked in New York State government for more than 10 years, rising to high-level positions in both Governor Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul's offices. Now the Department of State says she was operating illegally as an agent for the Chinese government and making millions in kickbacks. Linda Sun and her husband Chris Hugh walked out of federal court on Tuesday, released on bail. A 40-year-old U.S. citizen, Sun pleaded not guilty to taking millions in payments and gifts from Chinese officials in exchange for influencing the highest levels of New York State government for years. Her husband pleading not guilty to money laundering. Governor Kathy Hochul's office says Sun was hired a decade ago and fired in March of last year amid allegations of misconduct.
I'm furious and I'm outraged and absolutely shocked. The second we discovered some levels of misconduct, we fired her. We alerted the authorities.
In a 65-page indictment, prosecutors allege Sun blocked Taiwanese officials from having access to the governor's office, drafted unauthorized invitation letters to fraudulently get visas for Chinese officials, and changed messaging regarding issues of importance to China. Kickbacks went to her husband's businesses, prosecutors say, to fund a lavish lifestyle. Multi-million-dollar homes in Long Island and Hawaii, cash, and luxury cars, including a 2024 Ferrari Roma, like this one, that's priced over $260,000. The government says it will seize all of it, including more than $130,000 in a safety deposit box. The couple and their family also received expensive gifts, travel expenses paid, and tickets to shows, according to the indictment. And on multiple occasions, specialty salted ducks prepared by a Chinese official's personal chef. The DOJ calling Sun's actions a direct threat to national security.
The way Americans think about national security is being corrupted by foreign adversaries who want to tell us how to think and how to act. And that is a national security threat.
These charges are disappointing.
Outside of court, Sun's attorney defending his client.
We are looking forward to exercising our right to a speedy trial and addressing these accusations in the forum where it's most appropriate, which is a court of law.
Linda Sun and her husband are out on bail, but there are restrictions. The couple's travel is heavily limited, and they aren't allowed any contact with the Chinese consulate. A spokesperson for former Governor Andrew Cuomo told NBC Son worked as a community liaison for his administration, and he had little to no contact with the governor himself.
Wow, some interesting details there for sure. One we'll keep an eye on. Yeah, Stephanie, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, in overseas news, the U.S. is condemning Venezuela's leader after an arrest warrant was issued in the country for a former presidential candidate. The opposition in the South American country is calling it a crackdown on dissent. It all follows a contested election over a month ago. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber has the latest.
Edmundo Gonzalez, Venezuela's newest president, or a fugitive on the run, according to Nicolas Maduro and his allies.
Criminal, asesino, terrorista.
Gonzalez is a criminal. A new arrest warrant issued by the Public Ministry of Venezuela accuses Gonzalez of forging public documents, inciting disobedience, sabotaging computer systems, and attempting to usurp government functions. All of the charges appearing to stem from the country's July presidential election, an election that independent UN-backed election observers describe as lacking, quote, basic transparency and integrity.
Este señor cobarde, González Urrutia.
Maduro referring to Gonzalez on his weekly television show, saying in part, quote, this man has the nerve to say he doesn't recognize laws. He doesn't recognize anything. Gonzalez has not directly responded to the new arrest warrant, but the United States is calling it a power grab.
This is just another example of Mr. Maduro's efforts to maintain power by force and to refuse to recognize that Mr. Gonzalez won the most votes on the 28th of July.
Gonzalez challenged Maduro's decade-long reign, and according to an Associated Press analysis of voter tallies released by his opposition allies, Gonzalez won by more than a 2-to-1 margin. Maduro disputing that, claiming he won by more than 1 million votes. Gonzalez hasn't been seen in public since the day after the election.
For the moment, Gonzalez has said through his lawyer that he's planning to fight it out in Venezuela, and I guess is ready to go to jail if that's what it takes.
Protesters supporting Gonzalez have repeatedly flooded the streets of Venezuela's capital city, demanding Maduro step aside. Journalist Manuel Reda has been in Venezuela reporting on the elections.
Gonzalez has a much stronger claim that he has the support of the people. It's very hard now for Maduro to say that he's being elected by the Venezuelan people. What can swing it in Gonzalez's favor would be some kind of dissent within Maduro's rank, and especially within the military.
The U.S. now trying to increase the pressure from abroad, seizing a plane with ties to Maduro. According to Attorney General Merrick Garland, the plane was purchased in the United States for $13 million through a shell company and smuggled out of the United States so it could be used by Maduro and his associates in violation of U.S. sanctions. The U.S. hoping it sends Maduro a message.
We have the expertise, we have the reach, and we have the global partnerships in order to effect change against anybody, including powerful government heads who think they're untouchable.
But as of today, Maduro remains in the presidential palace, and his support among Venezuela's military leadership seems rock solid.
Our thanks to Ellison Barber for that report. Coming up, clamoring for care after the break. We'll dig into why some patients say they're now waiting days, weeks, even months to see a new doctor, and how you can best navigate this changing healthcare landscape. Stick around. We're back now with the latest developments in the criminal cases connected to the death of actor Matthew Perry. A trial date has now been set for 2 of the 5 people charged with illegally providing Perry with the dangerous drug ketamine months before his death. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas joins us with the latest here. Chloe, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Prosecutors have announced that they intend to try that accused drug dealer Jasvine Sangha and Dr. Salvador Plasencia together this spring, actually in March. But Sangha's attorney telling us that the ketamine queen nickname is misleading and designed to garner publicity, adding that trying to blame Sangha for Matthew Perry's death is unfair.
This morning, new developments in the criminal investigation surrounding the death of actor Matthew Perry. The Department of Justice announcing on Tuesday a March 2025 trial date has been set for Jasvine Sangha, also known as the ketamine queen according to prosecutors, along with Dr. Salvador Plasencia. Singha and Placencia are among 5 defendants charged in connection to Perry's death last year, and the only 2 who have not reached plea deals with federal prosecutors.
I'm gonna hug you.
The beloved Friends star was found unresponsive in a hot tub at his Los Angeles home last October. The medical examiner's office determining he died from the acute effects of ketamine. Prosecutors say the drugs that caused Perry's death came from Jasveen Singha, whose apartment they described as a drug-selling emporium.
She took advantage of Mr. Perry by selling large amounts of ketamine to Mr. Perry.
But one of Singha's attorneys, Mark Garagos, telling NBC News she's being unfairly singled out.
How did she get connected to Matthew Perry in the first place? It's like there's like mystery surrounding this.
Well, there's no mystery. She isn't connected to Matthew Perry at all.
But in charging documents, prosecutors say text messages between Singha and broker Eric Fleming show she was aware of the danger. Singha has also pled not guilty in a different unrelated drug case.
People like to make her out into something that she isn't, but there's a whole different side here, a story to be told, and it will be told in a trial.
Fleming pleaded guilty in August, admitting he brought the drugs that killed Perry to the actor's live-in assistant. Another man charged in the case, Dr. Mark Chavez, was released on bond Thursday. His attorney says he plans to plead guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine.
He's incredibly remorseful what happened, not just because it happened to Matthew Perry, but because it happened to a patient. He's trying to do everything in his power to right the wrong that happened here.
Chavez's attorney also says that the now former doctor agreed to surrender his medical license and is no longer practicing medicine. The other doctor charged, Dr. Salvador Placencia, he's entered a not guilty plea and was freed on a $100,000 bond. He has been allowed to resume his medical practice, but he has to disclose those charges against him, and he cannot prescribe controlled substances. Placencia and Jasveen Singha, they are currently scheduled to face trial together, but her lawyer tells us that he expects that to change. I mean, that's a long time, Savannah, between now and March. So
Absolutely.
A lot can change. And remember, these are the 2 individuals. They are the lead defendants. They are the ones that have pled not guilty. And they're the only ones to have not struck some sort of a plea deal with federal prosecutors.
And we know you're going to stay on it for us from now until March as
Yes,
all those
I am.
changes happen. Chloe, thank you so much. Good to see you. Turning now to a look at the healthcare industry and a growing challenge that lots of patients seem to be facing. One of the most basic building blocks of personal health care, of course, is the availability of doctor's appointments. Well, patients say they're becoming increasingly difficult to come by and that their health is ultimately being impacted because of it. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky joins us with these concerning details. Hey, Morgan, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. These numbers really speak for themselves here. A recent survey found that Portland, Oregon has the highest average new patient wait time in nearly 46 days. But patients in other major cities all across the country say it's not unusual to wait a month or even longer to be seen for medical care. Now, some doctors say they're doing more for the patients for even less money and that their time is being stretched incredibly thin. And now both sides are searching for one big solution.
It seems these days trying to get an appointment with a healthcare professional is becoming increasingly challenging, with many patients waiting days, weeks, or even months to be seen.
I live in a big city. I can't get in for a month.
Can I get an appointment maybe sometime this week to see the doctor? They're like, no, sorry, we're booked 2 months in advance.
The numbers show it's becoming a more common occurrence nationwide. One study found a third of patients say they've been unable to see a doctor in the past year due to availability issues. And for those who were able to get an appointment, nearly 1 in 5 patients had to wait anywhere from 1 to 3 months to be seen.
It's incredibly frustrating.
When 26-year-old Victoria Holmes faced a 4-month wait for a neurology appointment in Washington, D.C., where she lives, she sought treatment in her hometown of Dallas, Texas.
I literally have to take the desperate measure of going home to Dallas just to see a neurologist because I'm terrified that there's something wrong with me.
It's a major frustration for both patients and doctors.
We all became physicians to take care of patients, and that is getting tougher every day.
Dr. Bruce Scott is the president of the American Medical Association and an ear, nose, and throat physician in Louisville, Kentucky.
Right now, things are at almost crisis level, and physicians are literally closing their practices.
Medical professionals say it's the result of a growing population needing health care, along with an aging physician workforce that's burning out, due in part to time-consuming administrative paperwork from insurance companies and reduced physician reimbursement. Some doctors are now turning to concierge services to reduce the number of patients they see, charging hundreds or even thousands of dollars for their care. Others are passing administrative fees on to patients, forcing many to find new doctors.
I think we're facing even a worsening problem in the future unless something changes.
Now, as for those doctors switching to those concierge services, the numbers are kind of hard to nail down here, Savannah, but estimates are that it's in the thousands, and it's still a small percentage of overall doctors practicing medicine, meaning there should still be plenty of options for those not able to shell out the extra money for the kind of care that they once received without that extra cost.
All
Savannah?
right, Morgan, thank you so much. Let's stay on this with NBC News medical contributor Dr. John Torres. He's here on set. Always great to see you. Dr. Torres, why has it become so hard? I mean, we heard a lot of reasons there. The doctors getting closer to retirement, population that now needs more health care. But when you just think about the fact that, God, we can't just get into the doctor.
Yeah, it is tough. And that's why you see these doctor wait times go down. When you're in there, you want to talk to them, but you only have 15 to 30 minutes.
Right.
And it's not just a specialist, which Morgan talked about, but also primary care physicians. And talking to primary care physicians across the country, they're saying the same thing. You know, our patient numbers are just exploding, and we can't see them all on a timely basis. And so it's one of those things that you have to make sure that when you go in there, your visit is as efficient as possible.
Absolutely. What is the impact to our health care if you have to wait weeks, months to get in to see a doctor, especially if you think something's up?
And the obvious one is that if you can't see them and there's something going on, you want to detect it as early as possible, because the sooner you detect it, the easier it is to treat. And so that gets delayed, and so treatment gets delayed, and the treatment might not be as successful. But this is not just, you know, the two-tiered system we're talking about. It's a three-tiered system. There are those that can pay for it and get private medicine, concierge medicine, maybe go to urgent cares. There are those that have private insurance or government-sponsored insurance. And then, unfortunately, there are those that go without. And those are the ones that are our biggest concern right now.
What do you think of those concierge services and the impact that has to our overall system for both healthcare providers and patients?
So I think it's the system that we're going to, at least part of the system we're going to. And I think it's not going to go away. It's going to be here. And for some people, it works out very well. For other people, obviously, if you don't have the funds to do that, you can't do that. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're getting that continuity of care, and that's very important. And the continuity of care, it gets handled in that area, but you want to make sure it's handled in other areas as well.
So you mentioned make sure you make the most of your time. Do you have tips for doing that? I mean, I know, first of all, I don't like that feeling when you're in the doctor and you think something's wrong and you feel like you're being rushed.
Right.
I mean, it's understandable because they have so many patients that they're trying to provide that care to. But you're kind of like, wait, I'm worried about this. Can you give me a minute? And then sometimes I leave and I'm like, shoot, I didn't ask about that one thing.
Exactly.
What should you do?
And so what you want to do is you want to work, realize there's two things going on here. One is the doctor trying to make it as efficient. And so you need to make it as efficient as well. So number one, go in with written questions, things you want to get answered. And of those questions, you want 2 or 3 that absolutely have to get answered, your top 2 or 3 questions, and make sure those are the first things you address. You also want to make sure that when you go in there, you use the nursing staff and the other staff to answer any things you might have left over or to figure out things before the doctor comes in the office. On top of that, bring in your test results for review, because the doctor might not have access to them. The computer system might be down. There might be other issues going on. And don't leave without scheduling an appointment. I can't overemphasize that, because oftentimes we'll go in right now, they'll say, hey, you know, I'll call you later. And you call them in March to get an April appointment, and you can't get it again until the following March. And so make sure you do that early.
Jeez, all right. That's kind of a lot of homework, Dr. John, but got it. Okay. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Coming up, how big of an impact does the economy have on swing state voters? After the break, we're digging into the latest polling data in 4 major battleground counties, how they've voted in the past, and how issues like unemployment and home affordability are weighing on their decisions. That is next. Stay with us. Welcome back. There are now 62 days to go until Election Day, just in case you didn't have that number on the brain. One of the big issues, of course, top of mind for voters, the economy. And this morning, we're going to take a deeper dive into the state of the economy, specifically in key battleground states. Of course, these could potentially decide the race. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us from the big board to break it all down for us. Christine, good morning. Great to have you here with us. We actually also have this Gen Z poll out today from NBC News. It shows even for that generation, the economy is top of mind. Let's dig in on counties in some of these swing states. Tell us how they're doing economically, but then also, right, how they're feeling, what we should know about how that might translate into a vote.
I want to take you through 4 of these, because these are places where decisions will be made for the next 4 years, no question. Maricopa County, Arizona. I've spent some time there. Big chips investments there. It's called the Silicon Desert, right? A huge population resurgence there. I mean, it's the fastest growing county in the United States. You look, Trump took this handily in 2016, and then Biden flipped it the next year, the next election. Oops, let's go back here. You can see here what happened in terms of the economy. Wow. You've got a home buyer index that's better than the rest of the country, wages a little bit less than the rest of the country, but an unemployment rate that's lower. So this is kind of a booming part of the country, and it has been a very tight race there. Let's look at Gwinnett County, Georgia. This is the most diverse county in the United States. And you can see that Hillary Clinton carried it in 2016. Joe Biden took it by a landslide. But you got some issues here with affordability again. Weekly wages a little bit less. The unemployment rate is lower than the national average. But again, it's not really a little bit better than the national average for buying a house. The higher this number is, the harder it is to buy a house. Okay. So that is something that's happening in the suburbs of Atlanta. Kent County here, this is a really important county here overall. Look at Donald Trump took it, and then Biden flipped it. This is a manufacturing base over here, a little bit better in terms of home buying, but still not great. And wages here, less than the national average. And then finally, Erie County, Pennsylvania. This is the bellwether for Pennsylvania. Really important here. Look at these tight margins. How people feel about the economy is going to be such an important standard bearer for this election. And one thing that I think is really important to look at, you look at this lower than average unemployment rate. This is because it's kind of a declining post-industrial area where people are leaving, retiring, aging. So this is a low number, but for a reason that is not a vital reason.
Absolutely. I see. So you've got that home buyer index. Thank you for putting that in context, by the way. Bigger number equals harder to buy a house, right? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Okay. So the higher this number is, the harder it is to buy a home.
Right. Yesterday, actually, I was talking with a bunch of Gen Z voters for that poll, and I was just, I mean, hearing them, honestly, it was kind of sad hearing them talk about how out of reach home buying feels to them. They're like, maybe when I'm 60, maybe never. I don't know. Does my generation do that anymore? So how does housing affordability factor in here?
It really does. And I think when people say their wages are up, or they've got a college degree and they've got good jobs, but they can't afford to buy a house, that really affects so much of how you feel about the economy. Because think of that. For generations, my parents' generation, your parents' generation, my generation, simply that was how you built wealth in America. You went from being a renter to a buyer. You built wealth in a home. If you got a whole generation that doesn't feel like they can get in there, they're missing out on the wealth creation part of the American dream. And I can see why that would be revealed in that poll.
It's so interesting how that attitude has completely changed. Maybe not even attitude, but just kind of that fact of life just doesn't feel the same anymore. Christine Romans, thank you so much. Such interesting stuff, matters so much over the next 62 days, to be exact. Coming up, we're going one-on-one with the female president of the WNBA's first new team in over 15 years, the Golden State Valkyries. My conversation with Jess Smith on her chance to get in on this major moment that the league is having in the spotlight. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. It is time now for our series Women Mean Business, and today's guest, I'm so excited, someone who is at the forefront of the revolution happening right now in women's professional sports. Her name is Jess Smith, and she's one of the women behind the WNBA's newest team, the Golden State Valkyries. She's here live with us. We'll talk in just a moment, but first, here's some of her story.
When you think of the Valkyries, you think of, it's a female warrior.
The Golden State Valkyries will be the newest WNBA team to hit the court since 2008. And leading the charge is the team's president, Jess Smith, a female warrior in her own right. This isn't the first time Smith has helped launch a new professional women's sports team. Back in 2020, she designed a sales plan that eventually landed her as the head of revenue for the Angel City Football Club, a National Women's Soccer League team that officially made its debut 2 years ago. Now, that club is the most profitable women's sports team in the world. Smith grew up in Auburn, New York, where her favorite sport to play was always basketball. She went on to study journalism at the State University of New York at Oswego. After graduating, she started her sports career with minor league baseball. Her resume now includes a master's in sports administration from Ohio University, plus roles with MLB, NHL, and MLS. This robust career and track record is what landed her on 2 Leaders Under 40 lists just last year. When she isn't changing the landscape in women's sports, Smith mentors aspiring young sports leaders through the Women's Coaching Alliance. A trailblazer, a mom, and a role model, Jess Smith is a woman who means business.
And Jess Smith is here with us in studio. Jess, good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It is so wonderful to meet you. I'm already like, I wish everybody could have been hearing our conversation since you walked into the studio, because I'm just so fascinated by this. Let's start with right now building this team. Some exciting things. First of all, very cool that as of right now, your senior leadership is this all-female leadership team. I know that you're working in close partnership with the Warriors, but right now that's kind of what it looks like just on your org chart, which is exciting. You're also starting already brand partnerships with Chase Bank. Yep. Tell us about what these building blocks are like coming together.
Yeah, today specifically is a huge day for us in welcoming JPMorgan Chase to our family. Not only are they our first founding level partner that we're announcing in this capacity, but they're going to be on our uniforms. And so they're going to use their Freedom brand to be on our uniforms. That means that everything that we do on the court, off the court, fans wearing it, players wearing it, they're going to be by our side. And their investment in us, especially as their first partnership on a jersey, means a lot, right? They understand the growth of women's sports. They understand what the Valkyries are bringing to the table. They value us in the way that the world is now valuing women's sports in a really powerful way and progressing it forward. And so this partnership's going to mean so much more than simply just seeing a brand on a jersey. We're going to find really great ways to make sure it comes to life in a way that speaks to our community as well.
I'm going to ask you about women's sports in just a moment, but just everybody at home, I want you to think about the fact this team doesn't exist right now. This name wasn't there. This logo wasn't there. The colors, the jerseys, the players, they are still not there. What is it like? I mean, building a team out of thin air. And I know you've relied on your community a little bit to help make some of those decisions. Why do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no playbook, right? Which makes it incredibly exciting. Also a little bit stressful, to be totally honest, right? Because we want to get this right and do it for our fans, do it for our community that has big expectations from us. You know, in the Bay Area specifically, the world often looks to the Bay to see what comes next. How do we treat people? What are the technology innovations that I should be thinking about and adapting to? And what we're doing in women's sports is no different from that. And so as the team was announced in October, actually the San Francisco Chronicle ran an article asking fans, what should the team name be? Yeah. And 25% of people wrote in, not just some multiple choice, but wrote in the Golden State Valkyries. And so we listened to that from day one. You know, it's really important to give the people what they want, you know, to make sure that we're listening to them as we're building this brand. When you see our colors, right, we're not blue and gold like the Warriors. You know, they're an incredible brand. When you see Golden State in blue and gold, you're going to think of them. For us, we wanted people to feel like they could build into the legacy that we're making together, right? And so those types of decisions as we are building this Valkyries brand are something that, you know, we have to really do every day and make sure that we're being diligent about.
I love this stat I'm about to say. Again, just a reminder, players have not been announced. The team is still just coming together. 15,000 people have already bought season tickets.
Well, I have a small correction there. We're actually nearing 17,000.
Nearing 17,000!
I know. That type of support.
Incredible.
Yeah, day after day, I log in and just see, you know, sometimes hundreds of more people that have lined up to say, like, I want in. I want to be there for every single thing that you do. We hosted an open house, and it was the first time many of our fans had ever been to Chase Center. And for 4 hours, I stood in line and talked to every single person that I had time to. And even in that line, people were making decisions right there they just met somebody and they want to sit next to each other, or they found out that they had something in common that they didn't think about. And building that community and seeing it come together for the first time in the arena was really cool. I can't wait until we have an actual player and a jersey and other things that they get to rally around, you know, together and having fun in doing that.
As someone on the inside, are we really having this moment for women's sports? Is this turning the page where it's not women's sports anymore, it's just sports and they're fun to watch?
Yeah, the page is turned. You know, this is the moment. You know, I remember the WNBA being launched when I was 13 and thinking, this is it, this is so incredible. And there's been such great work done since that moment. But the time is now. Like, when you really think about what's happening, there is this understanding of consumers, right? They know they have to watch, buy a ticket, buy the merchandise, show up, talk about it with their friends. You have brands, you know, like JPMorgan Chase being like, no, like, we're in and we're going to invest in a big way and show the world like why we want to be here and how we're going to make sure we're driving that fandom and engagement there. You have media, you know, talking to everybody about it, making sure the games are produced in a high capacity and they have the shoulder programmings and they have the stories of the players on and off the field. And most importantly, you have these players, right? These players are powerhouses, and they're multidimensional, right? They're not just these incredible athletes on the court. They are these, you know, incredible women that, you know, have different sides to them, and fans are connecting with them based on fashion or other interests that they have, or where they are in their life cycle, you know, whether they have kids or don't have kids, or what they like to do in their free time.
We only have like 15 seconds left, but just your advice for women who want to get into the sports industry. We love to ask for advice in this segment, and obviously it's an industry that historically has been a tougher one for a woman to walk in the door. And what's your advice?
Say yes, show up, be your authentic self. Don't try to be like anybody else, right? That's your superpower. Just keep being who you are and driving it forward.
Jess Smith, thank you so much again for being here. We cannot wait to follow the Valkyries. I'm going to come see you guys. We're doing a story on this. This is so exciting.
Yes.
I just can't wait to see how it develops. Congratulations. I know you're a busy woman, so we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. Well, now, gosh, this is such an exciting block. We're going to now head to Paris, where Team USA is racking up the medals at this year's Paralympics. It's already been a week to remember for 19-year-old Ezra Freck, who stunned the world with an incredible comeback to win gold in the T63 100-meter sprint. But one wasn't enough. The very next day, Freck earned the top spot on the podium in a blowout win in his high jump event. We are lucky to be joined by Team USA's latest track sensation, Ezra Freck. Ezra, it looks like you are out in that front kind of veranda at Team USA House. What a spot to be. How does it feel to have not one but 2 gold medals we can see around your neck right now?
It feels absolutely crazy. I've dreamt of moments like this since I was literally 8 years old, and now I'm here winning back-to-back gold medals in Stade de France in front of 70,000 people, all my family and friends here, and I couldn't have asked for a more sweet moment. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude.
Oh, so incredible. We've just loved watching you. Okay, so here's the thing that some of our audience might not know. You went in thinking this particular event, the 100-meter sprint, would kind of be like a warm-up, is the way that I've heard you described it, for your signature event, which was the high jump. What did you mean by that, and what was your expectation for yourself? What was going through your mind as you lined up for that race?
Well, interestingly enough, my competitions were back-to-back days, so I knew I had the 100-meter final, and then the next day I was going to have to high jump, which is my main event. So in order to make sure that I wasn't having to deal with the ramifications of disappointment in case something were to go wrong, I told myself, this is going to be a warm-up. We run the 100-meter, but high jump is where it really matters. But then sure enough, because I was so relaxed, I ended up running the best race of my life, and I went out there and ended up winning the 100-meter, and then made it really hard to refocus for the next day because I was just on such a high.
What was it like? Right, you say it's hard to focus. Not only did you win the next day, I mean, you flew nearly 2.5 inches higher than everyone else, which sounds like basically a mile in the high jump. What was it like to flip over and have to refocus on your main event?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. I mean, I went to bed and definitely struggled to sleep. I was just getting so many messages. I had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb and try to avoid, reading over the comments and everything because it was just so exciting. I had to sort of put it behind me and focus for high jump. I didn't want to get complacent after winning the 100-meter.
Okay, Ezra, this is really neat because anybody who I'm sure you've racked up just millions of new fans, we're going to be able to watch you. You are actually playing hooky right now from USC. Classes were supposed to start. You were supposed to get started there a week and a half ago. When you get back there, you are set to become, this is just incredible, the first above-the-knee amputee to compete for a Division I track and field team. You will be on a team and competing against students who are able-bodied. What can people expect when they come out and watch, and what does it mean to you to take that distinction, the first person?
I appreciate that. It really means a lot. I'm all about pushing boundaries. I'm all about changing what people think is possible. So to be the first above-the-knee amputee to do this, to be now competing against my able-bodied counterparts on a Division I track team, especially such an iconic team like USC, I just can't wait to show the world what's possible as an amputee. That's what it's all about. But yeah, definitely sorry to my teachers. I'm sorry I missed the first few weeks. Hopefully you guys can forgive me and I can make up the work and we can all be fine.
Yeah, just pass the medals around, let everybody get a turn wearing them, take some pictures. Everybody will be so excited. I think you've got a pretty good excuse. Ezra Freck, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Paris. So wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.